Hello, and welcome to Catholic Relief Services presentation on chapters. I'm Tarek Chair, the volunteer manager for the Southwest Regional Office. If you're watching this recording, you're either interested in starting or joining a CRS chapter. Today, I'll be talking about who Catholic Relief Services is, our mission, and how we work overseas, our US strategy focused on issue-based campaigns and chapters, what CRS chapters have accomplished to date and what they're doing now, and the benefits of joining a chapter and CRS's robust support structure. So who is Catholic Relief Services? CRS is the official international humanitarian relief and development agency of the Catholic community in the United States. We work around the world responding to both natural emergencies like typhoons and earthquakes, as well as humanitarian emergencies like assisting people who have been displaced due to civil war. We also do long-term development work in agriculture, water security, health, education, accompanying communities as they work for a better future. We currently do this work in over 110 countries around the world. And all of our work is done in partnership with the local communities and local organizations. This is essential to our commitment to uphold dignity and our belief that people should be the leaders of their own development. We serve on the basis of need, not creed, race, or nationality. As a Catholic organization, we believe that all people have inherent dignity and that it's our duty to uphold that dignity, no matter who they are, where they come from, or what they believe. And we've been in operation for more than 75 years. Our new US strategy to form chapters around the US started in 2019, and we now have over 80 chapters with 500 members. Our mission is to promote human development and dignity around the world. The work is holistic. It's a long-term, dynamic process that facilitates collaboration and engagement from the individual to the family, to the community, and then to the regional, national, and international level. We're looking to promote transformative and sustainable change, whether in emergency response and recovery or development projects aimed to improve social cohesion, agriculture, health, education, water security, or youth development. In our US strategy, we've started a movement of people working together to end global poverty through campaigns focused on the most pressing global issues, and chapters who delve even deeper to organize and do advocacy and community giving actions. We know that the desire to serve is not enough. We have to act collaboratively to bring about real improvements in people's quality of life and genuine engagement in building peace and justice. We're excited to share more with you about the work CRS is doing and how you can be a part of it. So how do we do our work overseas? As I mentioned, our work is holistic. While it's easy to categorize our projects and say we do agriculture projects, nutrition, education, water security, our programs are really designed with local communities using a framework called integral human development. This framework is rooted in Catholic social teaching and seeks to promote the good of every person and the whole person. It's cultural, economic, political, social, and spiritual. The primary outcome that we seek is human dignity, that people are able to lead full and productive lives, meeting the basic physical needs and living their lives in an atmosphere of peace and social justice. It looks to identify strategies based on people's quality of and access to assets, which are the resources that people have to work with. Also looking at the institutions, rules, and social norms that people live within, and take into account risks that threaten lives and livelihoods. This is to say that while we have an education project, for example, we understand that a child's education is not complete if she or he does not have access to clean water or proper nutrition, or even the language of instruction. CRS designs its projects to address all of the root causes of global poverty. As an example, I'd like you to meet Morzal. She's a 10-year-old girl studying at a CRS-supported school in Garmab Oya in rural Afghanistan. Garmab Oya is nearly 10,000 feet high in Afghanistan's mountains, and at least a 15-hour drive on unpaved roads from the capital of Kabul. There are no shops, no electricity, and barely any phone service. But 3 years ago, Garmab Oya got its first school. My parents told me that no one in my family has ever been to school, Morzal told us. If I continue my studies, maybe I can be a teacher here one day. Morzal is an ethnic Hazara, It's a minority in Afghanistan that, although the country's third largest group, is often excluded from national services. The closest government school is a 2-hour walk away, either by crossing through mountain passes that are home to wolves or wild dogs, or by taking an unpaved road where deadly accidents and robbery are commonplace. The war has also taken its toll on the rural community. Morzal's mother, pictured here, Halima, said, "We live close to the front line, so there's always a threat. Sometimes during the night, the men of the village go to the mountaintops to see if the Taliban are coming." Morzal says that she started writing about her fears of war. After school, she sits by the window in her family's living room, surrounded by relatives chatting and drinking tea. With her notebook spread out on the floor, it's her schoolwork that comes first, followed by her personal writing. "It's made me more confident," she says. "It's like talking to a good friend." CRS's education project in Afghanistan not only provided access to quality primary education, but trained local community members to take ownership of the classroom, conducted school improvement projects to ensure access to drinking water and hygiene by building latrines. It also promoted community literacy by starting a community library, a space which was also used to conduct training for farmers on improved agriculture and livelihood practices. So, how did we get started as an organization? I want to give you a brief history of how we think as an organization so that you can understand our US strategy. We got started in 1943 as War Relief Services, created by the US bishops to help thousands of World War II survivors and refugees. Over the years, we've grown our expertise and the fields in which we work. We've also grown as an organization, learning to respond to the sign of the times. As an example, many of you might be familiar with the Rwandan genocide in 1994. During this period of 100 days, nearly 500,000 people were slaughtered. This moved CRS to re-examine our role in world events and rediscover Catholic social teaching. We established the justice lens as a way of looking at our programming to ensure that it not only meets the immediate needs, but also asks, what does a just world look like, and how can we achieve this mission through our work? Shifting to today, right now our brothers and sisters around the world are facing large, complex problems. 1 in 9 people around the world experience hunger, and nearly half of all deaths in children under the age of 5 are caused by malnutrition. An unprecedented number of people have been displaced from their homes, more than 80 million people. Levels of violence are at a 25-year peak, driving 80% of humanitarian needs in our world today. So, in the same way, CRS's US strategy came about as a response to the story of now, what's happening in our world today. Our US strategy is focused on issue-based campaigns and chapters that create a structure to build a powerful movement to come together as a community of faith and US citizens to learn, inspire, and take meaningful action to help transform the world. This is especially crucial for those who will suffer most from the global pandemic: migrants and refugees, and communities that lack access to enough food and nutrition, and people living in poverty. Our first campaign is Lead the Way on Migration, which has the goal that people on the move exercise their right to lead safe and dignified lives and ultimately thrive. Our second campaign is Lead the Way on Hunger, with the goal that people achieve the conditions to be free from hunger, achieve optimal nutrition, and ultimately thrive. Through our issue-based campaigns, we invite people to come learn about the most pressing issues that are plaguing our world, inspire others to join us through our stories, and act in meaningful ways that make a difference. For those who are ready to take meaningful action to bring about transformational change for vulnerable communities around the world, we started CRS chapters. These are communities of people committed to our mission who focus on advocacy and community giving as a way to address the root causes of global poverty in the United States. We believe we can support these holistic solutions that are affecting children like Morzal by lifting our prophetic voices and mobilizing as a community to advocate and give. Research and experience have shown us that advocacy and giving are the two most impactful actions when it comes to moving the needle on big issues. So, leading through advocacy, our goal with advocacy is to influence lawmakers, the media, and local communities to become champions for the poor around the world by building relational power and organizing social advocacy actions that advance the life-saving work of CRS. Our members of Congress may not know about and don't necessarily prioritize the ongoing situation and work in the developing world. Our communities, fellow family members, friends, students, or leadership might not know the situation. Our chapters are becoming champions of this work through high impact advocacy actions like meeting with our members of Congress and engaging in media efforts to help educate both the public and our government to influence and support just policies. As an example, I want to introduce Carmen Ramos. She is a former president of the lay organization Asociación Jóvenes para Cristo, Young Adults for Christ. And she's fearless when it comes to talking about her faith, God's mercy and love, and our call to put our faith into action. So when she had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. to take a part in Advocacy Day with the National Catholic Council for Hispanic Ministry, she jumped at the chance. She would be a part of a delegation from California, meeting with members of Congress and their staff to address the challenges facing migrants and refugees and the need to support them. Carmen was able to give her own personal testimony during her meetings with her members of Congress. Although she was nervous, she believed God would use her as a channel to speak for the needs of each one of her brothers and sisters and those who she came to advocate for. She explained that their needs made her speak from the heart. Carmen looks to the Blessed Mother as a model, comparing advocacy to intercessions. She said, "Imagine if our Holy Mother, the Virgin Mary, would not advocate or intercede for our requests. What would happen? We must shout out and say, 'Here I am,' for the one who cannot speak, the one who cannot raise their voice, for the one who is afraid, for the one who is not encouraged." She says, even if we are afraid or think the situation is unchangeable and that no one will listen, we have to have faith. So, what have chapters accomplished with their advocacy efforts? In 2019, we introduced a bill called the Global Child Thrive Act, which would mandate that early childhood development activities be integrated into US foreign aid programs, including CRS's programs, to support young children and their families. Early childhood is the period of life that begins prenatally and extends to 8 years of age. We know that during this time period, poor health and nutrition, inadequate learning opportunities, and exposure to conflict and displacement impair children's ability to reach the optimal development milestones, and that they can have a profound and long lasting impact on their brains and bodies. According to a report published in The Lancet, a staggering 43% of children under the age of 5, that's 250 million children living in low and middle income countries, are at risk of suboptimal development caused by poverty, nutritional deficiencies, and inadequate learning opportunities. Early childhood development activities include age appropriate mental stimulation like singing, reading, and playing with colorful objects to mitigate these factors and support a child's holistic well being in these early years, which are critical to brain development. Due to our volunteers and chapter members who made calls, wrote letters, and met with members of Congress, the Global Child Thrive Act was passed into law on January 1st, 2021. Giving also addresses the root causes of global poverty because private donations are what allow CRS to do some of our most important work. These funds allow CRS to be agile, responding to emergencies as they arise and where there's most need. It also allows us to implement the integrated and holistic programming that's at the core of our mission. So, what are the benefits of joining a chapter and what does the process look like? Joining a chapter will allow you to build community and connections at a local, regional, and national level. It'll allow you to put your faith and values into action and make a difference in your community and around the world. You'll be able to learn more about the current global issues, the root causes of global poverty and injustice, and CRS's work overseas. And it gives you access to cross-cutting training and skills building opportunities. To get started, we first host a 2-hour chapter launch so that people can learn more about CRS, our US strategy, and the chapter commitment. For those interested in joining a chapter, CRS hosts a 4-part new group orientation to help your group delve deeper into advocacy and community giving and ensure that you have the skills you need to do your work. Once the chapter has gone through the orientation, they'll join a monthly national call on the second Saturday of each month with chapter members around the nation to hear from expert guest speakers, get an update on the policies we're advocating for, and learn new skills. Chapter members will also meet regularly as a group, and leaders will join a monthly leader call with the volunteer manager, whose job it is to support chapter members, whether they need resources, training, or have specific questions. Chapters engage in many different ways, so what might you expect as a volunteer on a monthly basis? Well, one month you might be meeting as a group during the 4-part orientation to discern roles, to really find out, are you interested in chapter leadership? Are you interested in scheduling meetings with your members of Congress? Are you interested in planning for a fundraising event? Another month, you might be developing your story of self so that you can share your story and faith with members of Congress and your community directly or through the media. Another time, you might be meeting after the national call for an hour with your chapter to do the monthly action together. Each month, there's a timely, unified action as part of the national network that all chapter members are doing together. You might be meeting with your chapter later in the month to action plan on how to build a relationship with your member of Congress, understand their priorities, and influence them to support your legislation. You might be meeting with a few members of your chapter to plan for how to promote Rice Bowl in your parish or conduct another community giving event. Currently, we're a growing network of chapters, and we would love to have you and your community join us. For more information on starting or joining a chapter, please email us at crssouthwest@crs.org. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.